Hey everybody, welcome to Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Brooke Bullock.
Johnny Payne.
Hey, it is Thursday again. It's
It's
Thursday
Thursday
night.
night.
Yes,
sing that.
we are together with our friends here. And oh, good, the sound is good. I just want to make
Howdy,
sure
Sofa. Howdy, Don.
Hey, Sofa Dog, Don Mills. Great to have you guys here. We're gonna wait. We're gonna have some trivia coming up in just a
Yeah.
bit. But I want
It's a brand new set of trivia, by the way. We're reset. Everyone's at 0. Who's going to take the leaderboard? I don't know.
Everyone's got a time to set up. So before they show up, there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about in this episode. But I wanted to start with a kind of a sad note. You shouldn't really start a show with the obits, but I want to talk about Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens.
Yep.
And just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the last loss of Sinead O'Connor. And I know Sinead O'Connor and Pee Wee Herman, you don't really think of those two together. But for me, as 80s icons, I mean, and a big part of my life growing up, Sinead O'Connor and Pee Wee Herman, really big icons of the 80s for me.
You bet.
And I was watching a YouTube thing on Pee Wee Herman and kind of how he'd gone from the Groundlings on up to the movie. And I didn't realize that when he made the movie, he was trying to find a director for his movie and picked a just absolute unknown director, Tim Burton. And this is pre Beetlejuice Tim Burton. This is pre Batman Tim Burton. This is pre Nightmare Before Christmas Tim Burton. No one had ever heard of him. And then he needed someone to do the soundtrack. And so he'd seen Oingo Boingo in concert. And so he went to talk to the lead singer. And Danny Elfman wrote his very first movie score with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I didn't realize that was his first. It's like,
wow.
Talk about stars aligning. Pee-wee, Tim Burton, Danny Elfman, all that you know. I mean, can you imagine the world without Danny Elfman? And it all happened because Paul Reubens went to him and said, hey, I think you could do my movie score. We wouldn't have the Simpsons soundtrack. We wouldn't have the Batman soundtrack. We wouldn't have all of this stuff that Danny Elfman has done. I used to love listening to his soundtrack stuff. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on the loss of Paul Reubens?
Tragic. I mean, it's humbling and solemn that he kept it so close to the chest.
Yes.
It wasn't used, you know? And I honestly think there was the day/week of like honor and remembrance and tribute. And then there's no, I've seen one like bad mention somewhere in an article of something. Otherwise, it's been like, man, remember he did this. Little known fact, I don't remember which one he was. He was in a Lock, Stock, or Barrel in Nightmare Before Christmas. Mm-hmm. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Brooke pointed out to me that he was in some form in Batman, mm-hmm. Some of the animated stuff all the time. I like that the dinosaur. So I guess like everywhere, every tourist trap along the highway of that path that you took in Big Adventure has done something to pay tribute, or as the French call it, homage, to the great Pee Wee Herman, the great Paul Reubens. Yeah.
And just a little known comedian who became an 80s icon.
Did you see the David Hasselhoff thing? He was roommates with Hasselhoff in college.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Hoff tweeted a picture of the two of them, and you want to talk about someone who looks like a freaking Chad back in the early 80s. It's David freaking Hasselhoff. Oh my God. What a douchebag. He's the guy, like when he walks in the bar, you just leave, you know, you're like, I don't even want to be part of this. But yeah, he and Paul Reubens, and he commented, he said, I'll never forget the day. He said, hey, what do you guys think of this? And threw on this gray suit and this little red bow tie. And it was really interesting little mention there by David Hasselhoff. Yeah.
Brooke, what do you
That's pretty crazy. I was very touched in looking back at his Paul Rubens last couple of tweets or media posts in which, he was kind of like, hey guys, something I need to tell you, and I don't know how much longer it'll be, but thanks, it's been fun, and it was just something about the simplicity of that really pulled back the curtain, and I was like, that's a man of quality right there. That he didn't, like, you said the same thing, Johnny. He didn't use it. It wasn't like a ploy for a last hurrah or anything like that. So
but then the question came of,
smoker too, and apparently
was it peaceful and surrounded by family, or was it like, really elaborate and acted out and then pop back up in the credits again? And
well, of course, that's the
Buffy
the Vampire. That was one of the funniest death scenes I've ever seen in my life.
God.
Is his death scene in Buffy?
It was a post-credit scene. He pops back up in the credits, and he's like,
but
in the chat, Hal said, "Yes. How long did he take to die?"
He apparently was a heavy smoker, and was so tight on no pictures of him smoking. Because he wanted to, because Paul Rubens was and Pee Wee Herman were, he kind of embodied the idea of Pee Wee Herman, and so we'll miss him a lot, and thanks Paul Rubens for making my teenage years a lot more bearable and bringing Tim Burton and Danny Elfman to the big screen. Without them,
we never let him go.
We never let him go.
Yeah.
Okay. How many we got here? We got enough people. We only have 6 people.
Woo!
Okay. Curtis, you're here just in time for trivia. Everybody. If you have not joined in yet, you better hurry, because we're going to do trivia now. Here we go.
Andrew's do it now.
Andrew's in the house. Hal's in the house.
Screw it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
It's a grognard trivia special. Here we go. Woo!
All right. It's a grognard miracle.
The Trinity, the grognard Trinity has arrived, and it's not us. It's in the chat.
So we're going to start with Magic and Miscellany. The crew compartment. Oh, by the way, this is D&D. In case you didn't know.
When you said crew compartment, I thought maybe you were
Star
pulling,
Trek. I thought it was like
Star
crew,
Frontiers
Star Trek
or something.
Crew. Okay. The crew compartment of the mighty servant of Luco, a magical construct, has room for how many people to fit inside? The crew compartment of the mighty servant of Luco, a magical construct, has room for how many people to fit inside?
Depends on how you fold them.
Isn't there?
You could Tetris that whole thing and get at least 8 or 9.
Right. You stand like this. You stand like this.
With or without potions of gaseous form?
There you go.
No.
Or diminution.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Of course, I think if you do that, then you can't drive it. The correct answer comes from Curtis.
Oh, yeah.
Curtis coming right out of the bat with 2.
Booyah. By the way, Don Mills says, Andrew's just here. Give him the win. Good to see you, Don.
And the apparatus of Qualish, I think this is kind of a tie to that thing. It's by the same person. I think Qualish made both of these. But, yes. I could be mistaken on that one, but. All right.
S. Jones is in my way of thinking. How big are they? Were we talking halflings? Like, right. People. You gotta. Seems like very
2 people. That means you can at least fit 3 Kinder. Of course. Then you got to watch out for your pocket.
You can fit 3. Anywhere you can fit 3 Kinder, you can fit 5 Kinder.
But what's best is Gollydors, because you can fit at least 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes even 3.
How many Zerf Neblin?
I don't know. Sometimes you can do 3.
God.
3 Gully Dwarfs. Of course, the Gully Dwarfs won't know they're there, so. All right.
That's true.
Okay.
And we need a rat.
What did Wizards of the Coast replace the former open game license with upon the release of 4th edition in 2008? What did
Pinkertons.
Wizards of the Coast replace the former Open Game License (OGL) with upon the release of 4th edition in 2008?
Been all a buzz.
Yeah.
Lawyers.
Okay, Curtis, next time we play the Blue Note, remember, when I say, what's Johnny playing? Curtis, you say, the Zerf Neblin Bard with a hurdy-gurdy.
The chat is still on
Didgeridoo.
question 1, and it's fantastic.
They are, yes.
Don, that's awesome.
A Fool's Quest has a new season out, or new campaign out. And the guy
Awesome.
who last time played a bard who ran around with a kazoo is now playing a bard who runs around with cymbals.
Oh, boy.
He's just...
I would find a nice DM death for them.
How does that work when you're like, I'm gonna play a song of encouragement with stealth, ching ching ching
and
ching.
his poor Mike is their sound guy, and he's like, I got to come up with cymbals now that are musical in some way. Okay, do I need this question here again? Let's see.
It was a dark time in 4th edition. I don't know. I don't know the answer
of course,
to this.
I think they went back to the OGL for 5 because that's what we've been talking about.
Correct.
So what this was when they went to the 4th edition, they dropped the OGL, and they apparently went back with that with 5 because that was the whole thing. So what was the replacement for the OGL during the 4th edition in 2008? And I don't
Sofa Dog has just the LGO.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Andrew, you've got it. And I'll give it to you for that GSL. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's the gaming system license.
The D20 system.
So, yes. Yes, and that is why Pathfinder exists. Pathfinder exists because D&D went to 4th edition.
Video game.
Yeah.
Video game of 4th edition. What's crazy now is a lot of people are looking back going, 4th edition wasn't that bad.
Oh, really? I never played it.
It has like, there's an interesting conversation on the internet about how 4E in retrospect after 5E, it's like, if 4E came after 5, it would be accepted, I think. Because it came after 3, it was like a shock.
Yeah,
for
sense.
sure. Because one of the trademark phrases is Pathfinder 2 is 4th edition done right.
Right. Well, and I think that, yes, and I think
I've heard that.
Yeah, I think that's also why 5E was such a success, was because 4E was such a shock. And,
that's true.
And no one really liked it that much. So when 5E came out, it was like, this is what you should have done in the first place. This should have been 4th edition. I don't know what that was in between. That was like, that's like.
Except for, of course, the people who came to D&D during 4th edition, as is always the case, they love it.
Yeah. I had a friend who was in the Air Force when it came out, and he taught his people who were like under him how to play, and while they were like stationed in like Guam and board and stuff. And they had he had some great stories about it. I ran the hell out of 4E.
Yeah.
From beta test till about halfway through.
It's like the millennials and Gen Zs whose only experience of Star Wars was the prequels. They love it.
I have to say this, because something is the worst of a collection doesn't mean it's terrible. It's just the worst of the collection.
And you learn from it. You take what you can to make the best of it. So I think
So Vampire the Masquerade, they had 1st edition, 2nd edition, revised, and then they did Requiem, and then they did 5th edition. Requiem was terrible. They all got increasingly better, but Requiem didn't. But it was still a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't climbing the ladder. Like in D&D, progressively got better, and then 4th edition happened, and it just was good.
Yeah.
Anyway, next question.
Next question. Monsters in Dragonlance. In Dragonlance, what creatures are the most powerful of all draconians and the special agents of the Dragon High Lords? In Dragonlance. In Dragonlance, what creatures are the most powerful of all draconians and the special agents of the Dragon High Lords?
If Johnny's gonna guess dragons, I'm gonna guess lances.
Lances.
You got Lance Armstrong, Lance Bass, Lance.
Lance Bass.
Tika Whalen. Yes, Tika is the most dangerous of all. Her and her frying pan.
She got a frying pan. Boom. That was so great when we were playing D&D trivia at SoonerCon, and the young lady at the center table just came up with that on her own. It was so great when she was like, if she's a cook, is it a frying pan? I'm like, yeah, it was so great.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Ruffles and Falcor. That's incorrect, Ruffles and Falcor, but it's good to have you here.
I think kobolds, they should be, but Andrew, you're biased. We know. And so.
Hal is like, the answer is in the question.
Yes. We do, I think.
Well, yes, the answer is in there. Now, if you could actually have the answer, if someone could actually have the answer that's in there.
Like, 5 seconds to Google. I bet you can figure it out.
The Alaskans.
Time's up, Michael. What's the answer?
Here we go.
We may have to give S. Jones a half point.
It is Florida Man. It is Aurochs.
Aurochs.
Aurochs. Aurochs.
That's awesome.
All right. In the pink, which I think is Adventures, Dungeons and Adventures. In Princes of the Apocalypse, the elemental weapon of water.
Go, Michael.
Go ahead. You're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. You'll listen back to it later and you'll hear it. But for right now, just keep going. You're great.
Nope. He's going to hear it right now. Go ahead with your question. In the pink.
In Princes of the Apocalypse, the elemental weapon of water called drown is what type of weapon? What am I hearing? I don't understand.
It's okay. I think Poppy Tea Leaf had this weapon, right? It was,
repeat the question. Because I was
repeating the question. Okay. In Princes of the Apocalypse, the elemental weapon of water called drown is what type of weapon? Which is
water weapon.
It's a water weapon. It's a water gun.
Oh,
with holy water in it to go after vampires.
There we go. Oh,
boom! Oh my gosh! No wait! Oh, S. Jones. Yep.
With Hal coming in right behind, Andrew right behind. That's awesome.
Look at you guys. Speedy. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go on here. Blue. What is the name of the sample character, a starting magic user in the original 1974 edition of D&D? What is the name of the sample character, a starting magic user in the original 1974 edition of D&D? Oh my God, no one's going to get this.
I think I know.
No one's going to get it.
I think I know. Before you give the answer, I want a shot, because I think I know.
Again, the question. What is the name of the sample character, a starting magic user in the original 1974 edition of D&D? I'm guessing it's like, what was the name of the pre-generated character provided to you in the 1974
Yeah.
Well, not even first edition.
Well, so it's like modern day Pathfinder have their iconics.
Yeah.
What's the name of the bard?
Yeah.
What's the name of the
Right.
the pre-gen druid? Yeah.
I can think.
Tao of Gygax.
Isn't that awesome? From the Mesner edition, I of course know the iconic cleric, and I know the villain. Of course, that's in the little help you learn how to play story. But the 74 edition, I'm not sure. So names are rolling into the chat.
Mordenkainen would be a good guess.
That would be an excellent guess.
But no, that's not right. But yeah, Fluter Flam. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's from Book of 3. I love you, Curtis. Oh my gosh, I love those books. The Chronicles of Pryden. Yes.
Oh. When grognards unite. That's so awesome.
That just makes my heart. Thank you so much, Curtis. Fluter Flam. I hadn't thought about that name in years. I don't like. I said, I don't think anyone's.
S. Jones has a good guess too.
Yeah, they're interesting. What did you write? Is that Mordenkainen backwards? It is Mordenkainen.
It is Mordenkainen backwards.
If you say Mordenkainen backwards, he appears. Yeah.
That's the brilliance of Ruffles and Falcor right there. He probably had it written down in this little black book of imagination, I bet.
Curtis, actually, I'm going, I right now I'm reading the Mabinogion or something like that, which is like the oldest Celtic book ever. And so I'm reading that. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread the Chronicles of Pryden. That is my goal, is to reread the Chronicles of Pryden, which is anyway. Okay, so I don't think anyone's going to get this. Curtis Selby says Shaft.
Now, Johnny, did you want to guess?
Okay, yes.
Is it?
What? Go for it.
I'm not saying I know. I'm saying I think I know. Is it Tav?
It is not Tav.
Okay.
And
I'll tell you why I think it's that in a minute. Yeah.
It is Xylarthen. And the reason everyone had the X's, and I'm like, that's interesting because it's Xylarthen. Xylarthen. Why anyone would know that? I don't know. I have no idea why anyone would know that.
A lot of D&D video games, especially the entirety of the Baldur's Gate series, when you make a character, when it gets the part to name your character, the box isn't blank. The box has a pre-gen name in it. Oh. And the name is always Tav.
Okay.
And I'm like, this has to mean something. I have never Googled it, but I'm like, this has to be something. This has to be like paying homage to something that it's always defaulted to TAV.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, final question. Here we go.
Right, Curtis? How could you forget?
Yeah, Xylarthen, exactly. Okay. What battle between demons and devils forever rages in the lower planes? Who's going to get it first?
The Battle of Endor.
What battle between demons and devils forever rages in the lower planes?
The Red River Rivalry.
The Red River Rivalry, which is so hard to say when there's nothing worse. I'm on air and I'm trying to say about the Red River Rivalry. Yes, you have to be really careful. OU and Texas are meeting this weekend in the Red River Rivalry. You have to be very careful because if you try to speed through that on air, it's not good.
One of my favorite things to just hear and happen is whenever Michael Cross comes on, for just a second, like when you channel the persona and it's Michael Cross, so
my wife catches me when I'll talk to somebody. They're like, "Oh, I hear you all the time on the radio," and I will go into my voice. "Oh, you do? Well, it's so good to have you listening. I'm really glad." And my wife goes, "You realize you just jumped into the radio voice?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't help myself."
It's like Clark Kent and the glasses.
Oh,
and the
look
suit,
at this!
You know?
Look at this! Don Mills.
Grognard!
Don coming through with the first one to answer it. The Blood War. And he even did it in the form of a question. So,
that is awesome.
yeah.
I feel like it's Jones, Battle of the Damned War.
Damn war.
What we have here is failure.
There's a failure to communicate.
This damned war of yours.
Woo! Don Mills did get one, and so did Andrew, and so did Curtis. Wrapping up this week is S. Jones with 1.5 for getting one of them right and knowing it was Gold Dragonians that started with A, half point.
Yeah.
We'll keep rolling these until we go through a whole set of 4. So it'll be about September 21st.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. So let's start with artificial intelligence in Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of like peanut butter in your chocolate, or is it? It could also be like motor oil in your chocolate. First off, okay, so which part of artificial intelligence we want to start with, Johnny?
So there's two sides to this. There's, did wizards know? Did they do it and got caught? What do we think? And then there's what's your opinion on AI and art within gaming?
So you're going to the artwork thing
first. So we'll start with the art first. Then, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's the other thing about art.
I think that for like, if we were going to sit down and play a game, and I wanted to show you a picture of the orc chieftain, I would have Midjourney make an orc chieftain wearing a headdress and then show it to you on my tablet, and that's cool because no one's giving me money for that.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm never going to be able to afford to pay an artist to make me an orc chieftain that's just going to tell you which direction to go and you never hear from again. I'm not a good drawer, so I'm not going to draw it myself. So I think that's absolutely fine. I think as far as this whole thing that's popped up, I think it was glaringly obvious that it was AI, and Wizards needs to review the people who review stuff. And they need to quality assure the quality assurance team. Yeah, because it was glaringly obvious
It's really hard to keep defending Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this, Michael, and I know this is going to be a cringe moment for you, but I think Wizards of the Coast could live stream unloading a truck full of puppies with a pitchfork, and so many people would go, "That's cool. All right. I'm going to buy their next book." It's their company. They can do what they want to. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I agree. That's why I say it's getting harder and harder to defend them.
Yes.
I'm not. Whatever Wizards does, I'm not stopping playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course.
So that's what you're saying, Johnny. You're saying they can do whatever they want and people will still buy their books. Because yes, I'm in that camp. I will still buy their books because I will still keep playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's harder and harder to defend Wizards of the Coast.
It's just so disappointing.
Yes,
it's disappointing
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But it doesn't make me. I mean, anger happened a long time ago, and then it's shifted to just I'm disappointed.
But I do also think that Wizards did come out. They at least got on top of this a lot faster than they did with the OGL thing.
Did they get on top of it faster than they did with the space book Spelljammer?
Yeah, with the Hadozi. The Hadozi.
Yeah, they also jumped in front of it faster than they jumped on that too.
Yeah,
and
that's
true. That's what I'm saying.
So maybe they're learning.
Yeah, I think Wizards is learning. Okay, we've got a problem. Let's jump out in front of it, and they did. I think, and immediately coming out and saying we will not have AI on any of our artwork. We will review our artists. We will make sure that they're not doing it in AI. At least they kind of came out and did some damage control, which is much better than they did with the OGL, which was sit on it for a month.
Do you ever think of this? Do you ever think what this is? We're seeing the stuff that slipped by. What is the stuff that didn't slip by that they stopped? Oh my God, how bad was that? You know what I mean? Because surely they're not so incompetent that everything just comes out. Surely they catch a few things and go, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, and you've also got to understand that they are a massive company. and it's
Right.
it's like, every company has its issues. There's
Yeah.
no way to avoid that. So I should have had that.
But there's just so many in a row. It's so many.
I know. Like I said, it's getting really hard to defend.
I don't know. Everyone's like, 2021 just wasn't the year for Wizards, man. They just kicked themselves in the foot. What happened?
Yeah.
You just look shocked. Yeah, but it's like, 2021 really sucked for them. Oh no, 2022 was bad for them. Oh no, here we are in 2023.
That's right.
But
I think the thing that drove.
Also, go ahead, Brooke.
No, I'm just gonna say I think the thing that drove me crazy with this particular one, it was some dinosaurs, like some dinosaurs like 3 times the size of storm giants that were the AI art. But what drove me nuts was that one, the original sketch artist, which she did color drafts of those, didn't know that it got selected to be used, and then someone else on staff ran that through AI and had it recreated. And of course, the AI sketches, the AI art that goes to the book is worse than the original color sketches. Why not just pay the artist for that?
Which they should. Which they should. That's the problem with AI is the fact that it steals from the internet, and it's horrible. And that's also why I'm like, you know what? I'm not really worried about Skynet here.
I
can't even draw a decent dinosaur. I'm not worried about Clippy taking over the world here.
I do appreciate that in the WotC statement, they did say this artist has done work for us many times over several years.
Yeah.
And it's always been original art, and it's always been great. And maybe this time they were like, I'm just curious. I'm just going to dabble for a moment.
And I understand it.
Cool.
And but they did jump out and say, we're not going to do this anymore. Now, the other part of, I want to get into the other part of artificial intelligence in D&D was something we shared about Hasbro looking into the possibility of using artificial intelligence in gaming itself.
Yes.
And I know that you and Johnny and I are going to have a totally different opinion on this, so go for it.
Well, a couple things. The main point of the article was just board gaming in general. And there was a game called Keyforge that came out 5 years ago-ish, and it was made by Garfield, who created Magic the Gathering, and he had left Wizards of the Coast and everything. And he made it, and the way the game worked was you didn't collect cards and make decks from the individual cards you had. You bought a deck. The cards were only sold in deck form, and the decks were generated by basically an AI, an algorithm. They were procedurally generated, and so you would buy this deck, open it up, and play it. Even the names of the deck was on the back of the card, procedurally generated, and that was neat and that was fine. And I think board games that do that is great. I think in RPGs, I don't know yet how I feel about it. I know that people have tried to use AI as a DM, and I think that's terrible. I think that is the worst. Absolutely not. But to get a hook, to get a plot hook, to get an encounter going, to get a point that's not an arc, just some kind of how do I fill these next 2 levels? Yeah, sure. If it works and you can do it well and you know how to prompt, use it. Yeah. It's a tool. It's a tool. But don't do it for everything of your game, of your RPG. Yeah.
And I'm going to disagree with you on that. Because here's the thing. Only because I've been in a situation where I've not had someone to play with. And so there are people all over the place. And I've had so many people. There were so many people who came to us at New World Comic Con. Says, I love to play D&D, but I don't have anyone to play with. Of course, I would point them to Edmund Unplugged on Tuesday night. Go to our Adventurers League game. You can just sit down and start playing. Edmund Unplugged on Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, boom. But if you don't, if Hasbro can create a artificial intelligence dungeon master, I'm not opposed to that in the sense that for the people who don't have a dungeon master, I want to run through Princes of the Apocalypse. I want to run through Tomb of Annihilation. And it could run you through that and think for it. And, now, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think artificial intelligence is there. Again, I don't think that's why I'm not so worried about Skynet yet. I don't think we're at that point yet. Artificial intelligence is still garbage in, garbage out. It is still algorithms and it's still human created. And it's just whatever's on the internet. So
Michael, that's a really great idea. A really interesting take, because so they're already developing the virtual tabletop, the virtual
Right.
game board, right? So could AI be like a choose your own adventure
Yes.
book, or be like could they have AI that runs a solo module? It's not
absolutely.
I mean, that's an interesting take.
And that's what I'm all for. I think that's a great idea, and it allows me to run in a game that I would love to do. I've never played in Phandelver. Most of the DMs I know are sick of Phandelver, never want to run that game. But I would love to play, but I can't. So if Hasbro could create a site that I could play the game in D&D, not a video game. That's right. Video games have always fallen short because they can never do what a human DM can do. We're at the point where the correct AI could do it.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. It's like allowing, and if I'm 16 years old, I've never played D&D before, and I could go on to the D&D Beyond website and play in a game, learn the mechanics, learn all these things before I sit down at a table with other people. I mean, sure, why not? So
here's a crazy idea. Would the first iterations of this be like when us grognards all played Zork?
Yes.
And you run into you kind of figure out what the command word, or where you go from, you can't go this way, you can't go this way, you can't go this way, until we figure out what code has been written that the AI can give me answers for.
Well, Michael, so two things here real fast. One, yes, choose your own adventure, like Brooke said. Vampire the Masquerade has a lot of apps on the phone that are basically choose your own adventure. And they're not AI. They don't boast that they're AI. They came out like a few years ago.
It's still algorithms.
Oh my God, they're amazing. They are so. It'll pop. It's like you read a story and swipe, read story and swipe, make a simple choice to like knock or walk away, or and then it pops up and starts asking you like in-depth questions. And based on how you answer these questions, you're basically kind of starting off mortal.
Right.
And it chooses what type of vampire to embrace you. So now you know what clan you are, what powers you have, who in the city likes you and don't, all the politics come into play. Really neat. But Michael, you said the words, and words are important, and maybe you were just paraphrasing yourself. You said, so what if you don't have a DM? Did you mean, so what if you don't have a group?
Oh.
Because there's a difference.
Well, okay.
If you have a group, you have a DM. Someone needs to scoot over, sit at the end of the table, and DM your game.
Yes. So.
Yes.
But
what you meant was you didn't have a group.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't have a group,
if you don't have,
AI is a great fit.
Yeah, but also, what if you don't have a DM? What if you would like to sit around a table?
If the five of you don't have a DM?
If the five of you want to sit around and actually play,
one of you needs to DM.
Well, or if this is good enough to if you've got five people who are all 14 years old, 12 years old,
they might be better than an AI.
Yes.
Or the AI might be better than them.
But maybe also it'll give them to show them, okay, this is how you do it. I'm not saying forever.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll pick it up. But for some people, some kids, I mean, we were lucky enough when we were 12 to have a couple of people in our group who would step forward and go, I'll dungeon master, and then my son picked it up when he was 12, and he's amazing. But some people just don't want to DM. And so this gives them an opportunity. If you've got an entire group of that, this gives them the opportunity to play. And also an opportunity to play with friends from all around the world, if they do it on D&D Beyond, if Hasbro's thinking about doing that. So I'm kind of all for it because, again, it does something that video games can't do. And that
I'll tell you what, at its core, I'm against it in that respect because I am all about imagination, creativity, and escapism. And I know there are people right now, if you were to say, make a character and what's his name? His name is Mouse Bottle. And the reason his name is Mouse Bottle is because in my eyesight is a mouse in a bottle. But his name is Mouse Bottle.
Okay, Maxwell Hauser.
You know what I mean? And like I pitched the idea one day that to you, I think it was actually on the show. I was like, we should do a game where and live stream it for like Extra Life or something where we all make a character And then the moment the live stream starts, we all roll a die, and the person with the highest die roll has 3 minutes to prep a game, 3 minutes to prep a 4-hour game. And to you, that was mind blowing, and it couldn't be done. To me,
I'm not saying it can't be done.
It pops up in my head while I'm trying to fall asleep.
No, I know. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying I don't think it's going to be entertaining.
Oh,
there's a difference. There is a huge difference. Let me tell you something. I work in the entertainment field. I work in the entertainment field. I believe that there has to be some preparation for something to be entertaining.
No.
Okay. Then why have fifth edition? That's part of preparation. Because
there are people who need it. There are people who want the comfortability of the security blanket of,
right.
If I don't know what to do, I can look and it will tell me where to go next.
That's part of the preparation.
There are people who need that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are also people who will. I mean, when I was running the Dragon Heist, Waterdeep Dragon Heist stuff, I just got to a point where I'm like, I mean, my whole table was kind of like, Dragon Heist was the 4th edition of 5th edition. It was kind of an interesting campaign, and everybody at the table was like, I'm not having a good time. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. So I left the book laying there, but I set a notebook on top of it, and it started making shit up, and the game got like 1,000 times better, and people liked it. And it was, because it was very much there's a thing in video games, especially MMOs, where it's called, is it called Amusement Park? I can't remember what it's called, but basically your character's here on the map, and then it goes here and does all the quests for this one spot until they're done, theme park. And then it moves to the other part of the theme park and does all those quests until it outlevels it, and then it goes to this part and does all of that. And that's kind of what that book was it was a play by numbers, even the whole generating your campaign for that book was, what season is it? Who do you want your bad guy to be? Flip to page 37 if this is when you're, and they thought they were doing that to give it replayability, but it really made it kind of not, because they had to stay hard in that structure to make the replayability happen with it.
And I think that's overall with AI, that's kind of its weakness right now. Like, it has to have code, it has to have structure, it has to have this is kind of the framework of things, and it's great for maybe getting some ideas flowing, or as a scaffold, or as a little bit of like some support network. But ultimately, as the chat has been saying too, the best stuff is when your own imagination muscles kick in and you become strong enough to do that.
But that's the book. I mean, you're talking about Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Okay, what you did you didn't do Waterdeep Dragon Heist. You just did a homebrew.
I switched from the book to the homebrew.
Which I mean, that is exactly something an AI cannot do.
You were able to read the table and know, they like this. They like that.
But that's the whole point. I mean,
I thought the AI.
I think artificial intelligence. I think AI will be better than a video game.
Yeah.
AI will never be better than a human, and that's also why I'm not worried about AI taking over the world. It's never gonna be that. It's still human created. It's still algorithms. It's still numbers. It's still ones and zeros.
Until the military implements AI, we're fine. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet, has it?
Yeah, but
very much so.
So yes, I agree. Hasbro should create an AI, and I would love to do it for D&D Beyond. See it doing so again. I would love, like I said, I would love to personally play in some of the books that I'll never probably get a chance to play in. It'd be neat to be able to play, and
I will
not
tell you
have
this:
to worry about.
If I ever sat down at a table and someone propped up a tablet and said, "Y'all ready?" and the tablet was going to run the game, I probably did. I would respectfully, hey, someone else probably wants a seat more than I do.
I would sit down to see what happens. I would never be the person who goes, I won't even try this.
So the AI says I
understand. I understand the problem you're having with it. I would never also go, I'm not going to try this just because of. I'll try anything
because you want the horror story, right? But it's in the journey,
I'll give it a try. Because the great thing is, then if it's horrible, you could go, guess what, guys? This sucks.
It sucks.
But if you never tried it, you can never say anything about it.
Okay,
You can go to your loser friend and be like, I found a DM worse than you.
If I ever sit down at a table and someone pulled out a tablet for the second time,
Okay.
I would dip.
We'll see how it works first. But I would love to be able to sit down and go, wow, this is worse than I am. I'm really kind of happy.
Now,
this
here's
makes
the
me feel
deal.
good about
This
being
is
a DM.
This is DM GPT 2. It's a much better.
I'll tell you this. If I could dedicate myself as sitting at a computer and not sitting at a laptop, I'm not playing a character, but I'm also not DMing. I'm just going to be the voice. And so when ChatGPT says, it's a stormy, rainy night, and they approach the gates to the keep. The two guards stand at attention as they see them emerge from the fog. I'm just the voice of it, okay? And the AI is like the guards could be persuaded if they say the right thing or something, and someone goes, "I just want to stab a guard." Well, I'm going to type in, someone stabs the guard. How does the guard react? And have ChatGPT tell me, and then read that out loud. I'm still kind of the DM. I'm just having ChatGPT doing all the thinking and figuring out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could play with that probably
But
now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's what you're doing that when you play anyway. So you're you say I stabbed the
but
and the DM
ChatGPT
says,
is going to give you 17 button options. Do you flirt with the guard? Do you seduce the guard? Do you roll charisma? Do you
but
stab
on
them?
ChatGPT you say I do this, and you do it. And it tells you the reaction. That's just how it is with D&D. You say, tell the DM, I'm do this. The DM then says what will happen because you did that. So I don't know.
The chat is off on quoting war games, by the way.
I know. I know. Now, if the DM, if the chat GPT would go, do you want to play a game? Yeah, then I'd run away very quickly. Global thermonuclear war? No.
A level 1 encounter.
Okay.
For 5e.
So,
Johnny's off on homework.
I know he's
I'm in ChatGPT right now.
Okay, Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Never heard of it. Is that the one with the robots?
Strange New Worlds.
I have been hearing I'm a few episodes behind, but I've been hearing fantastic things.
Okay.
I mean, like blow your mind things.
You and I are about to have differing opinions.
I know we are. Strange New Worlds season 2 has been incredible. There was the crossover episode with the Lower Decks, which I thought was so well done, especially since the voice actors actually got to play themselves physically and geek out about something that had happened 125 years earlier. Beautiful. I thought it was well done. I was really excited. Makes me excited for the next Lower Decks season.
It was it was so fantastic. It was way better than expected. It blew my mind. It was great. I'm a huge Lower Decks fan. I'm a huge Strange New Worlds fan. So the moment I heard about this a year ago, I was like, hell yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, I was curious to see how they would do it too.
Is it, for those of us who haven't seen it yet, is it kind of like an alternate reality, like a multiverse crossover sort of?
Not one bit.
No, it's a true crossover.
Lower Decks exists, and Strange. It'd be like this: Next Generation exists, Picard exists, and Pike exists. There was an accident. Picard is now over here with Pike.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was so well done. But what was even better was the fact that Lower Decks is animated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right,
and,
exactly.
And Strange New Worlds is not.
Fortunately, the two voice actors for those two main characters really look like their characters.
Yes, they do.
So
it did help.
Yes. And Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Jack freaking Quaid from The Boys.
I know.
Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid's son. Uh-huh. And they even gave him blue hair to make it match the animated blue hair that he has.
Wonderful. But
it's so funny because as soon as he looks up and he sees Pike and Spock and everybody, he goes, "Y'all look really realistic," and passes out. It's great.
And then of course the finale of that, the final scene of that episode where they're all two-dimensional was so class. It was wonderful. Then right before the finale, there was Star Trek, the musical.
Which, can we just say, did this start with Joss Whedon? Was it Buffy that first got the whole musical as
a network,
TV?
There was a network that did, much like there was a network that did a blackout episode. Every show on Thursday night had a blackout happen, and then there was the live episode where like the Drew Carey show had a live. They were all live. there was a network-wide thing where everyone did a musical episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Xena did one. Yeah.
here's the thing. I am a sucker for musicals. Love them.
No.
I've always loved them.
Same.
I have always absolutely loved any. Let me tell you, to me, Buffy the musical was its jumping the shark moment. To me.
Oh, really?
It was the pinnacle of the show. It was.
Oh,
so
I see what
amazing.
you're saying.
It was.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
The greatest moment, and everything, and it just
Yeah.
way downhill after that. The last season and a half of Buffy was awful.
Here's
It
a
was
crazy
so awful
thing.
compared- I mean,
Yeah.
that
I agree with
musical, and I still sing the songs to that musical. I got a theory that it's a demon, a dancing demon, though something isn't right there.
Yeah.
I got a theory.
And the
should
moment when
work
she
this
sings-
out. Yeah, it's
And the moment when
so
she sings
good.
Heaven,
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
like the emotional weight of
and it was so funny
Heaven.
because you could obviously tell that there were some people in the show that could sing and some people who couldn't. I'm talking to you, Allison Hannigan. Love you dearly, but you obviously got like bit pieces.
Oh,
and you
poor
didn't,
Willow. Poor
you got
Willow.
filler
She never found her spot.
lines, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I felt that way in the Star Trek musical with the group scene. It was all in that alto range, so it hit just everybody. It never got anyone out of range. But let me tell you, Leon's piece and Ahura's songs, so good.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Johnny, tell me how much you hated it.
Okay. No, sir. I'm going to tell you how much I loved it. Are you ready? I'm going to take up the rest of the episode doing this. The first song was about Why Are We Singing? And it was done so well. Oh my God, it was done so well. Apologies. Yes. Why Are We Singing? It's amazing. Second, the whole entire La'an to Kirk thing in the episode wasn't even singed. But when La'an went to Kirk and was like, hey, I'm not supposed to tell you that. I mean, she didn't even say that. She just said, you and I hung out, but it was a different you. And he goes, whoa, wait a minute. You're about to break a pretty big rule. You're about to break the Temporal Prime Directive.
Yeah.
And she did it. She's like, you only YOLO once and did it. Amazing moment in this episode. What were the others? Oh my God. Pike singing to Patel and kept trying to pull himself away, but kept coming back in front of the entire bridge crew. Was amazing. And then La'an just runs over and is like, boom. And he's like, why did I just do that? And she's like, yeah, that's the point.
This is a security breach.
Yes.
This is horrible.
Yes.
We are singing our thoughts.
I was highly and then one more thing. Speaking of Buffy, when they figure out what they have to do, and he goes to Uhura and he says, that's great, but if we could do it like once again, but it really have some,
once more with feeling.
I'm like, please say it once more with feeling. And they never did, but they smiled at each other so knowingly.
Yeah.
It was so fantastic.
I really didn't think you would enjoy it that much.
If I had to pull out something from it that I didn't like, it's that the Klingons were doing hip hop, which I think was a little too cringy. And they should have been doing. Did any of the writers for this show watch Star Trek?
Opera.
I think it was hard. It's harder to do that. Yeah. No. You're right. I agree. I agree with you. It would have just been harder to write. It's harder to write that than it is hip hop.
I feel like here's the part where you and I will disagree, and it's this.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
No,
I would love to have done.
I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the opera thing.
Okay, yeah. Strange New Worlds is episodic, with the overarching story of Pike's doom, Pike's fate. Discovery wasn't episodic. I'm probably never going to do a rewatch of Discovery.
No.
It wasn't. Right now, I'm currently doing my 17th rewatch of Deep Space Nine. Episodic with a big arc. I one day will do a rewatch of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
And when the Bohemian Symphony Rhapsody Subspace episode comes on, I will hit skip.
Why?
It was once was enough.
Mm.
It was good. It wasn't great.
Okay. I'm actually going to agree with you that, and here's why.
Yeah.
My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, agreement on both sides.
Here's why I agree. Because I could sit down and watch the Buffy the musical again. I could watch once more with feeling.
Xena
again.
musical over and over again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without a doubt. I enjoyed it. I didn't walk away knowing any of the songs or caring to go back. When I walked away from Buffy, I wanted the music. I wanted the music now. I wanted to hear that over and over again. So, I enjoyed it. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch it again. If I were to watch the shows again, I would probably watch it as part of all the other shows. I wouldn't skip it just because I don't skip shows.
It's like with Deep Space Nine is my favorite, but I would skip Move Along Home. That's a terrible episode. Next Generation, I would skip the episode where Beverly Crusher sleeps with a ghost.
And when we watched Star Trek: Next Generation, we didn't skip any. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to skip any. But I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. And you're right. With this one, I would not go back and watch it. I'd go back and watch the crossover Lower Decks episode again.
Yes. I would go back and watch. Oh my God, the Klingon episode with Chapel and Benga.
Yes.
And the twist about the Butcher of Jagar.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Or what was it? Yeah.
Jagal. Yeah. The Butcher of Jagal.
Butcher of Jagal. Spoilers. I'm sorry. I really want to spoil this episode. The Butcher of Jagal.
And the La'an one where she goes back in time. Oh my
I would
gosh.
watch that a million times, dude. Paul Wesley is doing a fantastic job as Kirk.
Yeah.
He is doing way better than Chris Pine did.
Oh, easily. Love Chris Pine, but he's got it. He's got it down.
Watch him forever be Kirk.
I love what Strange New Worlds is doing. So I would go back and watch so many episodes of Strange New Worlds.
Every episode.
You're right. I don't think
except this.
Well, no, I'd go back and watch. If I was watching them in a series, sure, I'd go back.
Yeah, just start it, let it go. Yeah.
But you're right. I thought it was fun. Was it? It was not Once More with Feeling. No. Without a doubt.
It was not. It was not Xena's musical episode.
It was not Xena's musical episode. Yeah. And so you're right. So I think we both agree that it was. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Xena's was called The Bittersweet. SUITE.
No, he's not Shatner, Hal, and that's what I love about it. Is he's Kirk.
Not? He's not Shatner. He's Kirk.
Yeah, he is Kirk. Yeah. He's still the Boy Scout, and that's what I love about him. He's Kirk. He's not Pine Kirk. He's not the Kelvin Timeline Kirk. The Kelvin Timeline Kirk is a douchebag. Okay,
kind of a jerk,
and that's what I don't like about it. I want my Boy Scout.
You see the Paul Wesley Kirk. You see that jerk there. That jerk is there. And I think what it is when he revealed to La'an why he couldn't pursue that or play into it. I think once that goes away from Kirk's life, he just goes bachelor mode.
Well, but
that's when the asshole.
And yes, but he's still an officer. That was the thing that bothered me in the movies. Is he's not?
It was really interesting. Yeah.
Kirk is an officer before anything else. He was captain by the time he was 35 years old. He was a Starfleet officer.
Yep.
He screwed around, but I think everybody does in the 24th century. So I don't, or 23rd century. So I don't think it's that big a deal. We go out into space and we find other species to do. That's pretty much why we go out into space.
Yeah.
So to have Kirk doing that, that's not a big, but he is above and beyond an officer. And he is a captain, first to be first officer, youngest to be first officer, youngest to be captain. There's a reason why he is who he is. And that's what I think this Kirk is doing, is bringing he's bringing the officer. Something much more than Chris Pine did, which Chris Pine was basically playing Kirk as a rogue.
Chris Pine was playing Shatner.
Yeah, well, Shatner without the ability to be
Yeah. But Michael, what you said made a lot of sense, because as you were talking about, he was an officer. He did this. He did that. He did, this achievement, that achievement. My mind immediately jumped to the Mirror Mirror episode where Kirk says, let's find out who we are in this universe. And it's, assassination, putting down, da-da-da. And those are all what the Empire Kirk did because he was an Imperial officer. You know,
I think it was the one where he's on trial and it's reading all of his accommodation or his
that's awesome
accommodations.
too.
Where he has the award for this, he has the award for this, he has the award for this. I mean, he's Kirk. I mean, and so I think the guy who's doing him on Strange New Worlds is just fantastic.
Here's one for you about Kirk too that I would love to see a Kirk series happen where we see this. There's a thing in Klingon lore that, and I know we're almost done, but basically it's this: if you are a Klingon commander of a fleet of a small group of one battleship, and you go off to explore because the Klingons are always expanding, and you come across someone and you fight them and they defeat you, and you turn and run, you were dishonored. You might even be killed. Okay, unless you say, but it was an Enterprise in Kirk.
Yeah,
you were honored for having survived an encounter with Kirk.
For just getting
That's
away.
back in the books, back in the days of the novels. The Klingons were like,
cool.
"You coward! You came rushing home," and it's like you don't understand.
It was Kirk.
It was
and
the USS Enterprise, and they're like, "Oh shit! I bow before you."
Under Captain
that's
Kirk.
crazy.
The only thing I do want to say, because I know we are way out of time, but the other thing about the crossover episode when Spock smiled, do you know what it made me think of? The menagerie.
Of course.
When Pike and Spock hold the little plants and he smiles, and that has disturbed everybody forever. It's like Spock doesn't smile. But this kind of shows you why would Spock have smiled in that episode? They've tied it in. That's how much I love this show so much, of Strange New Worlds. Love it so much, because they really have looked back at the old series and gone, how can we tie this all together and still tell a story that doesn't break the timeline but kind of fulfills it? And that's why I've loved it so much. So wow, it's been an hour.
It went by like that.
I know, and we got so much more to talk about, but we got to stop right now. Today or yesterday, brand new episode of Red Dirt D&D. Also last night, a brand new episode of Mysteries of Beatrix. Find it right here on this YouTube channel. Also on Tuesday, we launched a brand new episode of the Red Dirt Outlaws, Keys from the Golden Vault. Check it all out. We also tomorrow a new roundtable will launch.
Yes,
but you only get 15 minutes of it. Unless you're a Patreon member. Unless you get
it is so much. That roundtable was so much fun. So much fun.
Go to patreon.com/reddirtdnd. Next Wednesday, a new episode with I was thinking Jaska with Connor. Connor is our DM next Wednesday. So check that out for Red Dirt D&D. So much going on. This end of this week and this month, MiracleCon, Edmond Convention Center. Come join us.
The 26th of August.
Yeah.
Woo! One day, it'll be great. It's for Extra Life. Yeah. We'll be there. Games will be there. Vendors will be there. It'll be fun.
It'll be a blast. You have been listening to Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Brooke Bullock.
Johnny Payne.
You guys have been fantastic. We love you. Keep on talking in the chat, and we're just gonna go. I'm gonna go to bed. Love you guys.